said he'd been seeing the same therapist for 30 years. I said, you need a new one. Because that is a dependency. Y'all follow me? That's a dependency. You're dependent on the therapist, and obviously he's not doing a good job, because if you need a therapist for 30 years, unless you've been through a significant trauma, if someone's been through sex abuse, or post-traumatic stress disorder from war, or witnessing a crime, or significant violence, that's understandable. But I mean, if you've been in therapy for 30 years for low self-esteem, therapy for 30 years for depression, therapy for 30 years for relationship problems, the therapist is not good. You need to find somebody else. What I find when it comes to relationships is that a lot of black people don't understand themselves. And so they don't understand their relationship. And they don't understand their relationship with their parents, their birth parents. And they don't often see how any dysfunction within your family of origin creeps up and presents as dysfunction in your romantic relationships. You always got to go back to mom and dad. That relationship is foundational. You cannot study relationship problems without studying the history of a child's development and the core family structure. Let me give you an example. One of the reasons why black male-female relationships tend to struggle, and we have excellent examples of good ones, and I want to say that. We have brothers, sisters here, we have mothers here. We do have good relationships. The problem is we don't have enough of them. One of the reasons is because too many of our children are growing up without two parents in the household. I didn't say they're growing up without both biological parents in the house. I said they're growing up without two parents in the house. Of course, the best case scenario is to have your biological mom and your biological dad. If that can't happen, I want a father and a mother in there. I need the masculine energy and the feminine energy in order for that child to grow up happy, healthy, and psychologically balanced. When both energies are not in the home, the risk of a child growing up with a psychological imbalance or disturbance increases significantly. One of the reasons why relationships tend to fail so much isn't because we're not used to being around men or not used to being around dad. It's because of the internal conflicts that develop in the child psychologically on a subconscious level as a result of not having their mother or their father there. And one of the things about psychological development is when your mother did not provide you with the nurturance that you needed. When your father does not provide you with the nurturance that you needed, you can end up spending the rest of your life trying to compensate for what you didn't get from your own biological two. Do y'all follow me? For example, I often hear sisters say sometimes, why do I keep running into the same type of man? The same type, relationship after relationship, it's the same type. The reason why you keep running into the same type of man, or for the man running into the same type of woman, is because it's something that particular type of person is providing for you on an unconscious level. In other words, you have an unmet need from childhood, and your unconscious is seeking a way of fulfilling that unmet need. And as a result of not having both parents, or both parents in your life the way that they should be, because you can have both parents in the household and still come out crazy. Okay? So it must be a healthy house. But if a conflict develops in you as a result of poor relationships with either parents or both, that sets up a complex. And that complex will destroy every romantic relationship that you have. Let me give you an example. There's certain themes that run through our romantic relationships that can destroy them that were based on poor relationships with parents. Let me give you some of the major themes. Attention, attachment, trust, intimacy, reciprocity. Let's take those five. Attention, attachment, trust, reciprocity, love. Let's take those. Let me give you an example. Let's say that I never had a close attachment bond with my mother and or father. We never were really tight. My mother was the type of mother that would drop me off at the daycare, and I would flip out and cry for an hour after she left. Why? Not because I'm spoiled, but because I have an insecure attachment. Because the last time my mother dropped me off at the daycare, my aunt picked me up, and I didn't see my mother for 30 days. Y'all follow me? You ever go to the daycare, you see that kid flipping out, and you say to yourself, this child is too old to be acting like this. What's the problem? It's because he don't know if he's going to see his mother this afternoon at 3 o'clock. He has an insecure attachment with his mother and or father. So guess what happens? As he grows up in life and begins to date, he has an unmet need for attachment, which means what? He will either do anything to get it, or he will do anything to stay away from it. Hunger or fear. Hunger or fear. Hunger or fear. A man grows up, never had a good attachment with his mother and or with his dad. So you know what that means in a relationship? He's either going to allow himself to be taken advantage of by his woman because he absolutely wants to get what he never had before, which is attachment. So he'll end up allowing himself to be used as a doormat because he needs that person in his life. So he's doing anything he can to get it. That's hunger. Now let's look at the fear. How does the fear work? Because I never had a healthy attachment with my mother, I'm afraid to have one with a woman because I don't know how it's going to work out. Every time I put trust in my mother, she disappointed me. So when I get into a relationship with a woman who I love, the minute I start to feel that attachment, I disappear from her life. She thinks I never loved her. She thinks I played with her mind. She said, I gave this man 3 years of my life, 2 years of my life. He played me for a sucker. He straight up disappeared. Guess what, ladies? He did love you. He didn't know how to deal with the emotion of love because it was foreign. Do y'all see that? Let's go with another. Let's go with validation. Women and their fathers. Ladies and gentlemen, understand this about relationships. If a man doesn't have a healthy relationship with his mother, you can best believe that it's going to manifest in his relationship with you. To settle down with a man who doesn't have a healthy relationship with his mother doesn't mean that it ain't going to work out. But you can best believe this. There's going to be something missing in that relationship that would not be missing if he had a healthy one with his mother. Do y'all follow me on that? It may work out, but there's going to be some emotional nutrient that's going to be missing from that relationship that would not be missing if he had a healthy relationship with his mother. Same thing with fellas. You dating a queen who can't stand her father. Her relationship with her father is symbolic of every relationship she's going to have with every man for the rest of her life. So if she hates him, guess what? When she becomes unconscious during an argument, you become the symbolic dad. And you catch all of the anger and emotion that was directed at him, but because of her respect for him, she's not able to let it out on dad, so she let it out on you. You become the symbolic father. When a woman doesn't get validated by her dad, when he doesn't make her feel beautiful, accepted, good enough as she is, she will do what? Hunger for that validation. By doing what? Dressing in ways that make sure she's the center of attention at all times. Overcompensating for the attention she didn't get from her father. Okay? She's likely to allow herself to be used as a doormat also. Okay? I need validation. She can become what? Obsessive in relationships. When you say, I'm done with this relationship, it ain't working, I just need to move on, she's the obsessive type. Come to your house, come to your job, send you all kind of roses. She can't let go. Why? Because she needs validation. There's an unmet need. It's bigger than you. It's bigger than you. So that's the hunger. What about the fear? The fear is what? The woman who didn't get validation from her dad suffers from, can suffer from, not automatically, low self-esteem. Which means what? When she meets the right man, he's everything she wanted. Problem is what? I don't think I'm good enough to have him because my father never made me feel good enough to have a good man. So by her unconscious behavior, she pushes a good man away. Do y'all see that? Why? She's never been validated. And because she's never been validated, she can't see why he would possibly want to be with me. She undersells herself, pushes him away. He gives up. And then she says, see, I didn't deserve his love. Not true. You had his love. You pushed it away because it was foreign. Because it was foreign. Trust is a big one. That child who keeps getting dropped off by the mom, never picked them up, okay? Or the baby who don't know when they're going to get breastfed. When they cry for hours before they get fed. In birth, you're already setting up that relationship with the world and with other people. So they can't trust their parents. How are they going to trust in a romantic relationship? How? If you don't trust your mother, you don't trust your father. How are you going to be able to trust somebody else? It's very difficult. Can you get there? Of course, but it's going to be very difficult to do so. You're not used to it. Which means you do what? You hunger or you fear. So in relationships, you become over-trusting. Over-trusting. First day you meet somebody, you give them keys to your apartment. Over-trusting because you need that trust. Or you're so afraid to trust that you might get hurt that you've been married 30 years and you still don't trust your wife. Do y'all see that? So you have to look for how your unmet needs are playing out in your relationship. And most of us have an unmet need somewhere. Why? Because everybody in here comes from two parents and neither one were perfect. Everybody in here comes from two parents and neither one were perfect. But you might just have a little bitty issue. It might be teeny. Or you might have an issue that's so large it requires a what? Diagnosis and therapy. Do y'all follow that? Every once in a while, you might get a little depressed, you snap out of it. A little anxious, you snap out of it. A little needy, you snap out of it. But what happens when you fall into it and you can't snap out of it and it begins to affect the rest of your life? Too many of us are using relationships like you use a drug to escape our personal problems. If you've got personal issues in your own self that you have not worked through, you should not be dating. That's why relationships don't work, because nobody puts them in context. Why don't black male-female relationships work? Well, hold up. You got two unhealthy parents, two unhealthy people. Two sick Negroes can't make a healthy relationship. Which is why when you meet somebody, you got to assess their degree of peace of mind. Did y'all hear that? To what degree does this person have peace of mind without me in the picture? Peace of mind. What is their disposition? What is their temperament? Are they angry? Are they an introvert? Are they an extrovert? Can I put up with that? People often say that relationships don't work because we're not equally yoked. We don't belong to the same religion. I don't think we got the luxury. Do y'all follow me? I don't think black folk got the luxury. Black women, you don't have the luxury. You can tell your daddy I told you. You do not have the luxury to be disqualifying good men because they don't believe in your God or pray the way that you want to pray. Because most of us believe in the same God. It's just a different system. You ain't got the luxury. Why am I saying you ain't got the luxury? Because only 1 out of every 4 black women will get married in her life. You ain't got the luxury. So you mean to tell me Mr. Right comes by, but because he didn't accept Jesus or Muhammad or whoever you got, he can't be your husband? I'm against that. For me, I don't care what religion my wife is, but she better be for her race. That's my thing. You got to be for your race. I'm a guard guy. You better be race first. That's what I'm looking for. The reason we ain't working out ain't because we different religions. I know Muslims, relationships don't work. Christians, relationships don't work. Hebrew, more, whatever you name, it ain't that. It's not what you have in common. The only thing that you need to have in common is your values. That's where we mess up. We're dealing with what we have in common. I'm a psychologist, she's a psychologist. I come from a 2-parent home, she comes from a 2-parent home. I got a doctorate, she got a doctorate. I work at this type of job, she works at that type of job. I read these type of books, she reads these type of books. I like going to Africa, she like going to Africa. On the surface, we got everything in common, but when you look beneath the surface at our values, you see we got nothing in common. We both Christian, but she likes going to church every Sunday, and I think I should only go on Christmas Eve. We both psychologists, but she likes to spend money, and I like to save it. We both middle class, but guess what? I value hanging out with my homies on the weekend, watching NFL games, not hanging around my children. I think that's what a woman's supposed to do. And she believes that the family should hang together more than anybody outside of that family. I like having my mother around in my house all the time. I value the extended family. She's not used to that. She don't think my mother should ever be at our house unless she's invited. Y'all see that? It's the values over which we clash with people. It's the values, not what you have in common. The problem is most of us don't study the other person's values because all we care about is doing what? Pushing our own on them. Too many marriages in our community are what I call ego extensions. You know what an ego extension is? Let me tell you what an ego extension is. Sister look fine, and she would look good on my arm. So when I go around doing my lectures, I come in, Dr. Umar, Miss Dr. Umar, she boom, pow, pow. Y'all feel me? She's an ego extension. She completes the social image that I want the world to see of me. Do y'all see that? I don't know what she wants to do with her life. I don't know what her long-term goals are, and I don't care. All I know is that she completes my image of myself, my ego. Problem with that is what? A couple years into the relationship, she might decide that she don't want to be a lawyer no more. She wants to go back to school and be a teacher. Which means we're going to have to do what? Remortgage, refinance this house and get a cheaper one because we ain't able to afford this house. So guess what? She's stepping outside of the what? Ego box that I had her in. Y'all see that? Sisters, you say that you look at a guy, you say he got the degrees, he got the money, he got the looks, he got the car. I like the way that look on me. Ego extension. You marrying for an ego extension, you can't be happy with an ego extension. Because money don't make you happy. The problem with black folks is we spend our whole life chasing money, then we get older and realize it wasn't even worth it. It wasn't even worth it. You see? So sisters, let's talk about the 6 types of men that you need to avoid. A lot of good brothers out there, but what's the 6 types that black women need to make sure you steer clear of? You got the pimp, the player, predator, couch potato, impregnator, and professional. Fellas, you got the healer, the home wrecker, Miss Hot in the Pants, the homicidal honey, high maintenance, and the hopeless romantic. Ladies, y'all laughing because y'all done dated all of them. I done ran the whole joint. Okay? The pimp is the man who's looking for somebody to take care of him. He don't want your cookies. He can get cookies from other places. He wants your credit card, your car. He wants you to finance his lifestyle. You always know a woman who's with a pimp because she gives everything and gets nothing back. You're like, why she with that guy? He don't do nothing for her. You know why she with him? Because she needs validation. When that daddy wasn't there to fill up that jug in her heart that's marked Papa, then guess what? Some women develop a complex where they feel they gotta have a man in order to feel like a woman. I gotta have a man to feel like a woman no matter how incomplete he is. Even if he sucks me dry, at least he's there. At least I got somebody to spend my time with. So that loneliness and low self-esteem sets them up for a situation where they get emotionally exploited. Which is why the worst person to be dating, male or female, is somebody with low self-esteem. Because you will be used and abused. You will be used and abused. So the pimp will use you financially. The player don't want your money. He got his own. He wants your cookie. And he like all kinds. Butterscotch, vanilla, chocolate, almond. He's a cookie monster. Okay? That's all he do is raid cookie jars. Right? He's 75 years old, still raiding cookie jars. Okay? So you got the player, you got the pimp, and then you got the predator. He's the dangerous one, ladies. This is the one man that I hope none of you ever run into. The predator is a master psychologist. He's the guy who will walk into the room and smell the women with low self-esteem. He can smell the women who ain't been on a date in 5 years. He can smell the women who didn't grow up with their father. He can smell the women with all types of insecurities, and then he moves in by doing what? Kicking game. Game is nothing more than using what? Your unconscious insecurities against you. You ain't used to hearing good things about yourself? Well, I'm going to tell you about it, even if they're not true. Because I know you're going to start floating. Because this is what you wanted and you never got it. And then the predator does what? He treats you good, then he starts isolating you from your support. Why you got to go out with your girlfriends every Saturday? When you met me, I was going out with my girlfriends every Saturday. What's the problem? Well, you with me now. I'm your man. You got a man now. You shouldn't be with them all the time. Why you got to keep going over your mom's house for Sunday dinner? Why we got to go over there for Thanksgiving? Why you got to have Christmas over there? Why you just can't be here with me? And then you fall for it. And once he take you away from that base, then the verbal abuse starts. You gaining too much weight. Why don't you find something to do with your time? You need to get your hair done another way. You lazy. Right? He set you up. And then the first smack comes. I tell you ladies this, and I'm going to tell you one time. If he hits you once, you will get hit again. Did y'all hear me? Coming straight from a therapist. Why can I say that? Without even knowing who he is, how can you say, Dr. Umar, that he's going to hit me again if he hit me once? Because the tendency to abuse a woman does not sprout up in the moment. The seed had already been planted and festered in the unconscious. And once it manifests itself, it's going to be difficult to pack it back up. Because it's unconscious. He's going to need therapy to get control of that because it comes out of nowhere. So when he hits you again, he says, I didn't mean to do that. A part of him is right because it's an unconscious impulse. That's why we got to watch what we allow our children to see. Men who grow up watching men abuse women are at increased risk to abuse. And why? Because it was already modeled. A woman who grows up watching her mother get abused is at increased risk of being a victim herself. Why? Because the idea is already in there. Whatever you see becomes acceptable most of the time as a child. So the minute you get hit, sister, you got the role. You got the role. Now, if you love the brother, you can still date him under what? The condition that he's getting therapy. And you're going to go with him to therapy to make sure he's getting it. But you're not going to live in the same house together. Because if you don't live in the same house, that then gives you a little bit more control over your life and the ability to move on. But you cannot tell me that I'm dating a man who's abusing me. He ain't getting no therapy, but I have faith in his ability to change. Do y'all follow me? And for the ladies in here, I got a bone to pick with y'all. Because some of y'all got girlfriends who are victims of domestic violence. And instead of you being a good friend, you become a terrible friend by enabling her sickness. So when she comes to you and says, guess what? Rodney beat me up again. Instead of you saying, look, girl, you my friend and I love you, but I don't think you love yourself. I don't think you love yourself. I want you to get some help. Call the therapist. I'm going to go with you to the first session. You my road dog. We're going to get through this together. Come stay at my house. Where you want to go, but you got to get out of that situation. Y'all don't do that. Y'all don't try to make her take responsibility. You know what y'all say? Oh, Rodney a bad guy. He should recognize how good you are. You cook for him every day. That's okay, child. God gonna get him back. What goes around comes the hell around. Y'all know what y'all do, black women. Don't enable her. That's the worst thing you can do. Because now you give her what? Justification for putting up with the abuse. Justification for putting up with the abuse. No, you don't do that. I didn't say judge her to the point where she never comes to you again. Some of y'all do that. You know why? Because you saw your mother get beat on. And you said, not me. So whenever your girlfriend gets beat onto you, that look like weakness. A part of it is. But you ain't going to grow her into a strong woman by doing what? Belittling her, calling her stupid. You get what you deserve for staying there. I'm going to let everybody know you let yourself. Y'all follow me? You want balance. Don't ridicule, don't enable. Balance. Because if you cut her off and you might be her main source of support, guess what she's going back to? Rodney. Y'all see that? She want to go back to Rodney. Why do women put up with that abuse? Because some women feel that they need a man. And some women will justify the abuse, as I find in therapy, by saying what? I deserved it. He told me to be quiet and I kept on talking. It was really my fault. Women who tend to justify abuse grew up in homes where women justified abuse. See this? It's an intergenerational sickness. In sociology, we call it what? The intergenerational recidivism theory. It says what? If great-grandfather was a drunk, there's a strong chance that great-grandson will be a drunk. Do y'all follow me? If great-grandma had a baby at 14, there's a strong chance that great-granddaughter will also have a baby at 14. It's not genetic. It's simply because the same pattern of behavior is modeled generation after generation. You see that? So that's the predator. Stay away from the predator, ladies. Everybody know that there's a national hotline. Let me see if I got it on my phone. The national hotline you can call when you suspect a woman is being brutalized. You can make an anonymous call. And I'm forgetting the number, but I can get that for you, where you can Google it. But there's a national domestic violence hotline. Okay? But domestic violence is getting out of hand, ladies. And black women, I heard so much from my sisters because a lot of y'all suffering in silence. You suffer in silence because you know how racist the American judicial system is for black men. And so you say to yourself, he hurting me, but if I take him from his children, that'll hurt me too. And I can't look my son in the face by saying I'm the reason his father's in jail. He already got 2 strikes. This certainly be his 3rd, because in most states, domestic violence is treated like a felony. So a lot of women won't call. They just accept the abuse because I can't look my daughter in the face and say your father in jail because of mother. So y'all suffer double. Y'all suffer double. And one of the things we need in the black community from black women is stronger what? Sisterhood circles. Black women are the most disunited population in our community. Y'all more disunited than the thugs on the corner. Y'all follow me? There's no mentorship amongst black women. See, that's my elder over there, Brother Amin Rashid. You know, instantly clicked when I met him years ago. The Garvey movement, you and I, we've been joined at the hip ever since. You don't find that with women as much. Brothers in here, they can find a mentor in a minute. Older brother, hey, let me talk to you, young. Women, oh Lord, y'all look them up and down. If she cuter than you, it can't work. The first thing, nah, her butt too big. She thinks she grown. That's what y'all do. So what happens is what? The 60 and 70-year-old sister's supposed to be mentoring the 40s and 50s, but they don't because they're too busy competing. The 40s and 50s supposed to be mentoring the 20s and 30s, but they can't because they compete. And then the college girls supposed to be looking out for the high school girls, but guess what? Their bodies is too cut, and they looking better than them, so they think their boyfriend might get their eyes. So they don't mentor the young. I'm telling you the truth. I had a Boy and Girl Scout troop up in Philadelphia. Whenever I needed men to volunteer, they came out. Brothers, I need y'all. We going camping. I need y'all. We taking them to a Sixers game. I need some chaperones. Sisters, I need some sisters for the Girl Scout. Oh, hell no. She thinks she's smelling herself. Look at her the way she walking. I'm not going nowhere with her. That's her baby. You old enough to be her grandmother. She ain't competing with you. Black women, y'all got to work it out. Why? Because too many black women are suffering from depression because of it. At home crying all day. Nobody they can go to, y'all. That's not good. That's not good. You got the sisters, y'all got to put up with some nonsense. I know that from other women, but you got to engage your sisters. Everybody in here should be mentoring somebody younger than you. Male and female. I got about 12 mentors. I got about 12. Brothers call me all the time. Hey, I need a mentor. Hey, I got it. When we going to meet up? You in a different city? All right, we going to talk on the phone regularly. I come there to speak. We're going to go out to dinner. We're going to talk. What's your future plan? You in college? What we doing? Trade school? If you're going to be my mentee, you're going to make something out of your life. So you can't have Dr. Umar with a bunch of mentees in jail. Something don't look right. That's right. You see? And so sisters, y'all got to do the same thing. You see a young sister over there, pull it to the side, especially if she ain't got a father. Because we keep thinking that teenage pregnancy is about what? Sex. Teenage pregnancy ain't got nothing to do with sex. Teenage pregnancy is a little girl looking for the daddy she never got, and because she can't find him, she's going to find a replacement in a boy her same age. These girls are getting pregnant not because they're in love with sex, they're in love with the idea of having a man in their life who cares about them. Because the dad wasn't there. And women, for those of you who have daughters who are teenagers and preteens, you have to make sure you supervise their time from 3 to 7. They're not getting pregnant overnight. They're getting pregnant after school. Do y'all follow me? 3 to 7 is when they're getting pregnant. Not when the sun go down, when it's still up. Okay? So you got to make sure you keep a tight noose on them. And if you're depriving your daughter of the right to spend time with her father, you're creating the conditions for teenage pregnancy. You're creating the conditions for teenage pregnancy. Okay? So that's the predator. Then we have the couch potato. What's the difference between the couch potato and the pimp? A pimp knows he's using you. Couch potato think that's just the way it's supposed to be. This is the man whose mother did everything for him. Spoiled him to death. He's 30 years old and his mother still come over to his house and do his laundry. She still cooks. When y'all get married, she's coming over there telling you how to spoil her son. And we got a lot of couch potatoes in the black community. How many of us know women taking care of grown men? She out there slaving and working and he home with her robe on, her do-rag, her flip-flops. He don't even cook dinner. He wait for her to come home and cook dinner. She's his slave. What makes her do it and not get nothing back? At least I got a man. Then you have the impregnator. The impregnator is not a man with a lot of children. The impregnator is a man with a lot of children he don't take care of. Do y'all follow me on that? Okay? He just make babies, drop them, and step the hell off. The thing about it, ladies, is most of the time he don't tell you he got 25. You got to find that out by mistake. When it's time for you to have your baby, everybody comes for the baby shower. You like that? You got a lot of friends. It's like, these are my friends, these are my kids. Damn. And then you have the professional. Professional is the brother who tries to make you think he got more going on for himself than he do. He got low self-esteem. So he got to act like he's working on the Fortune 500. He got to act like he Jay-Z road manager. He got to act like this. He got to act like that. You always know he's fake because he coming to the club and you just know that you're fake. Right? Professionals. But women who are suckers for professionals are high maintenance systems. You think materialism is the royal road to happiness. Okay? Which takes us to the brothers. Stay away from high maintenance women. A high maintenance woman, like a high maintenance man, has an emotional disconnect to romance. They're in love with materialism as a way to avoid the pain that comes from an unsuccessful relationship. They're emotionally shallow, so they cling to material things. How do you know you run into a high maintenance woman? When you meet her, before she even asks you what your name is, she want to know what you drive. You're like, I didn't even told her my name. What's outside? What's in the parking lot? Where do you work? How many degrees you got? I ain't even told you my name yet. So what do you do when you run into one of them? You run the other way. Because it's trouble. Okay? Low self-esteem brothers are suckers for high maintenance women. Christmas time is coming up. What's the best way to spot a brother stuck in a high maintenance relationship? Go to the mall and sit there. And watch the woman who's all the way up front and her husband is all the way back here carrying the bag. She don't even recognize it until they get back in the car. Need a bag carrier. So you got to stay away from the high maintenance. And then you got the hopeless romantic. We got any hopeless romantic sisters in here? What's a hopeless romantic? A hopeless romantic is a woman who falls in love on the first date. I don't know what it is about you, Dr. Umar, but I love you already. I mean, I know, and I'm not crazy. Don't think I'm crazy. I know you're a psychologist. I'm not crazy, but it's really, you know, haven't you heard of love at first sight? I think this is love at first. I've never liked a guy this much after one date. Okay? I'm not crazy. All right? It's just a connection. Okay? You won't hear from me again. You crazy as hell. Okay? But a hopeless romantic is a woman looking for love. She falls in love with everybody. She ain't necessarily promiscuous. Her heart is just free for everybody. She don't know when she in love and when she not. You're like, man, we went to Pizza Hut. What was it about that veggie special that made her fall in love with me? Okay, ladies, don't be a hopeless romantic. Men don't take you serious that way. You can't. Anybody who falls in love in 3 weeks got an emotional instability going on. Everybody heard me? Man or woman If somebody telling you they love you after 3 weeks, you already know something ain't right there. There's some sort of a complex going on within that person. You don't fall in love with 3 weeks. I don't care how much love at first sight you believe in. And what kills me about love at first sight, it turns into divorce the first night. So how is it love at first sight and it's divorce the first night? You see? So stay away from the hopeless romantic. Then you got the home wrecker. A woman who specializes in sharing other women's men. This is for my married and committed brothers. You better watch out. The home wrecker is something to deal with. This is the woman who don't believe she can have her own man. So she's content with sharing everybody else's. She's also the woman who's been hurt by another woman in a relationship. Somebody took a good man from her. And so she's going to pay every other woman back for it. So she goes around doing what? Sharing everybody's men. She got 4 or 5 men and they all married. And guess what she does? Once the relationship gets to a certain point, she decides to make it public to the other woman. She intentionally destroys the marriage. And you say, I thought we had an understanding. There is no understanding with emotionally imbalanced people. They're ruled by their emotions. They're not logical. So the minute they get to a point where they're tired of playing number 2, guess what? They're going to force themselves into number 1. So fellas, you have a good woman, you need to settle down and commit yourself to that woman, because even though we got a lot to choose from, there's a lot of women out here. It's like one brother for every 12 sisters, right? So you say, okay, I got the whole pick. You do. The problem is, most of them out there ain't marriage material. So you find a good one, you better lock down, because you won't get it back again. And too many brothers mess up on good sisters like that. Because you keep sampling cookies and don't realize that you just need to give it up and settle on one cookie type. And end it. And then you got the homicidal honey. She's the drama queen. You can always spot her. She's loud, nasty, vulgar, ignorant, always ready to fight. And she doesn't know how to talk out her problems peacefully. Everything got to be drama. Y'all went to bed last night, had an argument, y'all didn't finish it. So she showed up at your job today with rollers in her hair. Trying to finish an argument y'all had yesterday. And you trying to get her to see that everything ain't got to be emotional. She don't understand it. Because in her life, with her father, her mother, her brothers and sisters, it was always a fight to solve a problem. You got to watch the homicidal honey. A lot of brothers are getting locked up. You know why? Because you're dating a woman who's domestically abusive. And you fail to realize that you're in a domestically abusive situation. Men get abused too. We just tend not to recognize it for what it is. You got a woman who likes smacking and cutting and threatening and destroying your things. That's domestic violence, but you don't see it for what it is until one day you get tired of it and you decide to do what? Snap back. Every time she snapped on you, you let it ride. You snapped on her one time, she called the popo. And now you in jail. And you like, I can't believe this. I kept letting you slide. I'm not you. See that? Y'all know what I'm talking about. Everybody here that been through it or seen it. You're like, this don't make no damn sense. She done whipped that man up for 5 years and he got bad with her one time. She called the cops. Restraining order out of his house. Okay? Now, fellas, you also have to worry about this hot in the pants. She like giving out cookies. They're not even done yet. She's just giving them out. That's a woman who what? Looking for love. She got very low self-esteem and she thinks the only way she can get attention from a man is to do what? Please him physically. Very low self-esteem. I try to talk to my young brothers in high school. You know the name that they call the promiscuous sisters. I say, don't do that. Okay, that sister, you know why she's like that? Because she didn't have a father. And she's looking for love, and all y'all doing is exploiting and abusing her. What she needs is therapy, she needs treatment. But don't laugh at her. Don't make jokes about it. You know what I mean? Don't take advantage of a woman, fellas, who you know got some sort of unconscious conflict complex jumping off, and she just out there giving out cookies, hoping that somebody fall in love with her because she's doing just that. Okay? You don't want that. You don't want that at all. Who did I leave out? High maintenance I talked about. Hopeless romantic I talked about. Homicidal honey I talked about. The healer. Oh Lord. The healer is the woman Because she can't find what she's looking for, she finds anything and thinks she can make it into what she's looking for. You're like, what is he doing in your house? Well, I met him outside. I know you did, because he's homeless. What is he doing in your house? Well, he used to be a really good carpenter. 20 years ago, he had his own business. He employed 20 men. He had 3 trucks. That was 20 years ago. You think you're going to make him back into it? You know why he's homeless? He's chemically addicted. He does hard drugs. He's an alcoholic. He needs some help. If you want to refer him to a social service agency where you can get the help, ain't nothing wrong with that. But you taking somebody off the street who you know has a chemical abuse problem, and you think you're going to heal him of his problems, and he ain't been healed in 20 years, you playing with yourself. Ladies, you don't have a crystal ball. Some of y'all think you got a crystal ball and I can just make him into what I want. Fellas, sometimes we do the same thing. We find a woman and think we can make her. You can't do that. People are who they are. Stop trying to make them into what you want them to be. When you meet somebody, you got to ask the question, can I put up with them, the good and the bad, as they are for the rest of my life? As they are. But see, that ain't what we say to ourselves. You know what we say? I can put up with most of them. That's right. And there's 2 little things you don't like about that person you with, but you think they're going to outgrow it. And they never do. And guess what? The little things start adding up to big things, big things, big things, big things. And then you call it quits. But you knew it in the beginning. Rarely do you meet somebody who say, I had no idea this relationship wouldn't work. They always say, I had a feeling that that would become an issue. I had an idea that that would become an issue. And one of the biggest ideas of all is what? Or one of the biggest problems? Blending the children from 2 different houses. Oh. I have a daughter. She's disciplined. She does her homework. She doesn't use profanity. She don't talk back to adults. You have your son. You spoiled him. He's your man. He talks back. He disrespects. You give out no punishment. And now the Negro in my house. And I'm about to wring his neck. Because you ain't trying to put him in his place. And so now my daughter watching your son do whatever he wants, and now she's getting ideas. And so I'm telling you, look, you got to do something about this. And then when a man steps in to chastise your son, ooh, ladies, y'all know how y'all get about your boy? That's my boy. That ain't your boy. Well, hold up. If we marry, your boy is my boy, and my daughter is yours. Some of us ain't ready for that. What you doing getting married? What are you doing getting married if you ain't willing to have your husband or wife make decisions about your biological child? But guess what? This really ain't a union. It really ain't a union. It's a disunion. There's no way you can be living in somebody's house with their children and not feel that you can say things to them, not disrespectful, but say things that a parent needs to say to a child sometime. I had one brother told me, he said, Brother Umar, my wife said I can't chastise the son, not physically. I can't verbally reprimand him. I can't put him on punishment. She said, write it down, and when she come home, she'll give out the punishment. He a prisoner in his own house. He a prisoner, and it goes the other way too. Fellas without daughters, with their nasty mouth, talking to your girl any kind of way they want to, and you don't want to do nothing about it. I'm not putting up with that, with you. It can only be one man in the house. It ain't no man gonna let no boy try to run his life, ladies. You got to put your sons in your... See, here's the problem. When you don't discipline your children and you're about to get married to somebody whose children are on point, it's going to cause a problem. It's going to cause a problem. If you're a parent who don't believe in discipline and you marry a parent who do, it's going to cause a problem. If you're a parent who believes in education and you marry a parent who really don't care about education, it's going to cause a problem. You got to talk about those things. You got to meet them. You got to meet those children to see if you can put up with those children. I'm telling you. I had one brother say he didn't know what he was getting into. Wife didn't tell him nothing about her juvenile son. He'd have been in and out of jail, 50 tattoos, straight up thug, threatened to kill him and everything. He said, I had no idea. You see? So you got to talk about that. But let me tell you one of the biggest reasons why we get divorced so quickly. One of the biggest reasons why we get divorced so quickly is because we only got married sometimes or got in a relationship because we wanted somebody to distract us from our problems. As long as you're in a relationship, you don't have to look at yourself. You got the other person to keep your attention. But guess what? That runs out. When they're no longer successfully able to distract you from you get mad, you drop them, you're going to find somebody else. What's another reason why we get divorced so fast? Because everybody in here has what I call a pain body. What is a pain body? A pain body is an emotional energy field that we all have that covers our body. In that pain body is the repository of every negative emotional relationship experience you have. Mom, dad, best friends, past boyfriends, past wives. What's another name for the pain body? Your inner child that never grew up and it stays sleeping. Your little girl self, your little boy self, and it stays sleeping until what? Your partner does something to wake it the hell up. They pissed you off and now your child woke up and you start acting like a child. And you start acting like a child. See that? That's called the pain body. We all got one. The problem is we're too busy getting married, moving in with folks, before we saw their pain body awaken. When you date, you on a honeymoon. I could date you for 20 years. Go to dinner, go to the movies, go home. Go to the concert, go to the movies, go home. Go to Jamaica, come back. It's all fun when you're dating. You never have to see my other side. I never have to see your other side. You still strangers because you've never been in close proximity enough to really see the things that people don't really like about me. Y'all see that? And then we get in a relationship and all of a sudden I decide to do what? Drop my ego guard. Boom, now the real Umar is out on your ass. This is real rap. You're like, I've been dating this queen for 10 years. I never knew this about her. I've been dating this man for 20 years. I never seen him get like that before. That's because you was on a honeymoon period. You wasn't dating him. You was dating his social self, his public image. You never knew the man. You never knew the man. And that's why when somebody gets pregnant, or we get engaged, or we move in together, or we get married, that's when the problems start. Why? Because now you're in close proximity. So it ain't no need to hide no more. I'm going to have your baby. I'm in your life for the next 18 years. What the hell am I fronting for? I just put a ring on your finger. I'm your husband. What am I fronting for? He used to open the door for you. Now you got to open it up for yourself because that was a show. That was a show. That's why I disagree with religious people. They say you shouldn't live together before you get married. Not in the 21st century with all these crazy people. You out your mind. This is not 5 BC. This is 2011. And people crazy as hell. So yes, I'm going to live with you. I want to see how you look in the morning, how you look at night. I want to see those toes. You got to know people. Y'all, you can't be getting married like that. Shotgun, boom, come on. You don't know what you're dealing with. You got to find out that pain. If you ain't seen your partner under stress, you ain't seen your partner. You ain't seen him. He never done this because y'all was dating. That was a honeymoon period. You got to live with somebody. I don't marry nobody and I never lived with him. No, I got to know the real you, the real you. See? And so what happens with the pain body is what? We all got a pain body. The question is, how often does your little child wake up inside of you? How often? How long does it stay awake when it's woken? And how strong is it? My queen, pain body, might wake up every day, but it only stay awake for a few minutes. Your queen, pain body, might only wake up once a week, but it stays awake for 3 months. You got to move to your father's until she chill the hell out. Do y'all see that? The question is, can you live with mine and can I live with yours? I knew a sister, every time her husband, pain body, woke up, she had to go to her sister's for like a month. I said, you need to end this relationship. This is crazy. She had to get out the house altogether. Because of the pain body. You don't want to be going through that kind of stuff, good people. But some of us think that you can do what? Find happiness in a relationship. Listen to me well. I know this contradicts all the love stories and the soap operas and everything else. Nothing outside of you can make you happy. Not a house, not a car, not a man, not a woman. Did y'all hear what I said? Happiness is an internally generated state. It comes from you. It is your relationship with yourself. I hate when I hear my teenage girls in high school when I do my relationship seminars for the 12th graders. They say, Mr. Johnson, I want to find somebody to make me happy. Guess what, child? You'll be looking for the rest of your life. Because can't no man make you happy. If you ain't happy already, you can't do that job. So the relationship going to fail because you're looking for something you can't get. And fellas, some of us think we can buy happiness with beauty. But the thing about it, no matter how beautiful she look, if you ain't really into her for who she is, the beauty gonna run out. No queen in here is gonna look good forever. And you ain't gonna look good forever. So you got the love for more than just looks. What happens if you get into a car accident? My goodness, lose 2 eyes. You got married for the wrong reason. You don't get married for materialism. It don't make no sense, but we keep on doing that. Ladies, don't get married for happiness. You should be happy before you got married. If you can't be by yourself, you shouldn't be with nobody else. If you're miserable alone, you're going to be miserable when you're not alone. Because that pain, you're going to infect the relationship with that pain. And some of us suffer from what I call post-traumatic relationship disorder. What is post-traumatic relationship disorder? I was dating a woman for 5 years. We broke up a month ago. I'm out dating already. Whoa. You was in a relationship for 5 years. You broke up a month ago. And now you out dating already. It's not likely that that relationship is going to fail. That it's going to work. You want to know why? Because you're still affected by that other woman's energy. And guess what? Because you're still in love with her and affected with her energy, you're never emotionally available to the person you date. Number one. And number two, guess what? Whenever the new person does something that reminds you of what the old person did, even though they're not nothing like that person, you automatically start judging them based on a past partner. You destroy the relationship before it gets started. Why? Because you're needy ass. Should have took 3 months to heal yourself emotionally. You got to heal those wounds before you go into a relationship. But many of us suffer from what I call relationship addiction. Soon when one over, I need another one. It ain't because you're hypersexed. It's the misery of being alone. You're not at peace with yourself. Anybody who can't be alone ain't at peace. And if you ain't at peace with yourself, if you get in a relationship, all you're going to do is undermine somebody else's happiness. Then there's that what I call matches made in hell. What's matches made in hell? Where both of y'all suffer from the same internal complex. He never had intimacy from his parents. She never had intimacy from her parents. And now they're going to come and give it to each other. Yeah, right. They're going to clash all day. He never trusted his parents. She never trusted his parents. And now they're going to trust each other. Yeah, right. That's why when you date people, you got to ask them about their relationships with their parents. I grew up with my mother and my father. Okay, good for you. But what was the quality of the relationship? You understand? Because you ain't going to make me the symbolic dad. I'm not catching all that. See, these are the questions. We want to ask stuff like, how many kids you got? How many times you been locked up? How much is your child support? That ain't here. I mean, it's relevant. Okay, you need your cheesesteak money, but still, there's more important things to know. I want to know about that relationship with your dad, and then I want to meet your dad, and I want to meet your mom, and I want to see how y'all interact, and then I want to meet some family. I want to come to a couple of dinners, because bones start flying out people. They start telling you stuff. Yeah, did you know she was engaged last year? She was engaged last year. Thank you, goodbye. Y'all see? Here's the problem. Some of us don't split when we should split right away. Do you know why? Because they made us feel guilty. Oh my gosh, he's not the man for me, but guess what? He paid my rent. He pays the insurance on my car. I don't want to be with him no more, but I feel bad about leaving. And so you stay out of guilt. Men, you do the same thing. She rode with me, man. She helped me raise my daughter, which is cool. But guess what? Once you reach a situation where you know you're not going to be able to work it out, it's time to go. Why are you wasting her time? Why are you wasting your time? This ain't good. Split out. Because you know you're going to leave anyway. And when you know you're going to leave anyway, why are you wasting that person's time? Tell people the truth. Don't lean them on. Because some people suffer from obsessive compulsive personality disorder. You know what that is? They're obsessed with being abandoned. And they're compelled to do whatever they need to do to make sure you don't leave them. These are stalkers. You ever had a stalker? That's obsessive compulsive personality disorder. That's right. And what do all stalkers have in common? They think they can make you change the way you feel about them. If I just pressure him enough, if I just send her enough roses, you going over your mother's house, you taking your mother shopping, now you cursing your mom. Why are you going with shopping with her? I'm your son, what's she taking you shopping for? Trying to get in good with the family, get in good with your children. Hold tight, hold tight, hold tight. First of all, nobody should be meeting your children until you come to a point in that relationship where you feel now it's time, because this is somebody you consciously made a decision that you may want to be with. I got a problem with people be introducing folks to their kids on the first and second dates and all that. Okay, we got to stop that nonsense. When girls keep meeting all your different friends, even if you ain't promiscuous, it sets up in her mind a mental model that says it's okay to be promiscuous even if you're not promiscuous. You're not meeting my daughter, I don't know you like that. Hell, if the relationship goes sour, you might try to kidnap her from school, you're not meeting mine. Now, let's talk about personality disorders. Believe it or not, there's some personality disorders right in this book that can destroy your relationship. If you date somebody with a personality disorder, you are in trouble. What are some personality disorders? Obsessive compulsive, the stalking behavior, checking your cell phones, checking your email, checking your Facebook. Then you cut them off Facebook, so what they do? They came up with 5 fake new profiles, and you don't know who they are, and you got 500 friends, and I'm one of them. Which one are you? I'm not telling you. That's craziness, y'all. Soon when somebody starts going through your personal belongings without your permission, that's OCP, that's that stalking behavior. You got to extinguish it right there. What are you doing going through my paperwork? That ain't your business. If you date somebody who you can't leave alone in your apartment for fear that they creeping, you dealing with a stalker. Accept it. Accept it and do something about it. What's some of the other personality disorders? Depressive personality disorder. You ever date somebody who's just always sad looking with no reason to be sad? You can't make them smile. You do everything for them. You give them a surprise birthday party. They still ain't smile yet. And they got all their teeth, so it ain't no reason. Right? You take them to the concert and see their favorite artist. They don't crack a smile the whole time. How did you like it? It was all right. You feel me? After a while, they start pulling you down. Fellas, you ever date a woman, you like, she never smiles. I don't understand it. Why is she always so gloomy? Ladies, you date a guy, gloomy. What's another relationship? Anti-social personality disorder. Ladies, you ever date a guy who just don't want to be around your friends, your family, or nothing? Every time you want to go somewhere, I'm not going. I don't like people. The worst thing you can do is be a social butterfly dating somebody with anti-social personality disorder. It's the worst thing you can do. You got to go places by yourself. Where's your husband? Where's your wife? Oh, they couldn't make it through that. They didn't make it last time either. Antisocial. Anybody ever heard of histrionic personality disorder? I want my ladies to pay attention to histrionic. Histrionic, that's that woman who needs approval, validation from dad. She didn't get it, so she dresses in such a sexually provocative way that she's guaranteed to get attention. Fellas, you can't change it. Why do you have to go out with me dressed like that? It's not the clothes. I'm just beautiful. No matter what I wear, people want to notice me. See that? The problem ain't with her, the problem is with you. You should realize that you just got a beautiful woman and you should be happy with what you got. So every time y'all go out, she dressed like she going to a strip club. Histrionic. Ain't nothing you can do about it, fellas. For those of you who work in schools, I work in a school. Several. It's easy to spot histrionic women in schools, right? Because you're teaching children. So if you're teaching 5th and 6th grade boys who hormones are starting to pop, you know you can't come in here dressed in certain clothes. But what happens when you see the 6th grade teacher coming in dressed like she going to the club? Skirt up here, cleavage, last baby dad tattoo on her belt, right? You bending over at the boy, he reading everything, you wonder why all the boys fell. And the principal ain't gonna say that because he like looking himself. And you know schools don't have dress codes. You know that, right? Schools don't have dress codes, most of them. That's in the union contract. So you can't tell a teacher how to dress. They will wear whatever they want to dress. You see that? That's histrionic. Now, let's talk about narcissism. Women are diagnosed with histrionic. Men are diagnosed with narcissism. Ladies, you ever meet a man who just thought he was God's gift to the world and couldn't understand why you couldn't realize that? You follow? This is the type of man who would tell you to your face, you should be glad I'm even with you. Because I can do much better. I was in the club with Beyonce last week and I could have pulled her from Jay-Z. So I don't even know why you just need to be quiet and be glad I'm here. Y'all feel me, ladies? Okay? And what's the worst couple in the world? A narcissistic brother and a histrionic woman. Oh my God. Why? They compete for attention. Their whole relationship is a competition for attention. They go to McDonald's. McDonald's. She got on a bright pink mink. He got on a black electric blue mink. You think they're going to the Grammys. They go to McDonald's and then they go home and they argue the whole way about who got the most looks. That's why I was surprised when I found out Jay-Z and Beyonce was having a child. Because he's a narcissist and she's a histrionic. They tend not to have children. Why don't histrionics and narcissistic couples have children? Because they don't want the children to get more attention than them. That's why a lot of your Hollywood couples never have kids. You notice that? I'm not bringing nobody in this world so they can get all the attention. I don't get none. The hell with the babies. I'd rather adopt one. I want to find a little ugly baby and adopt it. So that way I still get all the attention. Okay? Who else we got? We got the schizoid. Who's the schizoid? The schizoid is afraid of close attachments. The schizoid is afraid of close attachments. So the minute you start falling in love, they split. They're not used to that. Be careful. You can't change them. Schizotypical. Who that? That's the weirdo. You ever date somebody just look like they're weird? They're just weird. They say weird things. They do weird things. You're like, I'm dating a weirdo. Like, you don't make no sense. Okay? Get out before it's too late. Okay? What else we got? I'm missing a couple. And I'm going to wrap up in 10 minutes, and then I'll take a few questions. Avoidant personality disorder. They avoid what? Social events. They avoid intimate relationship. They probably didn't have a close relationship with their parents. Paranoid personality disorder. You cheat. You cheat. You cheat. You dealing with the next door neighbor. You dealing with the downstairs neighbor. You dealing with them. You dealing with them. Don't date nobody like that. You get accused of cheating, the whole relationship with no proof. The whole relationship with no proof. Some of y'all dating something, right? I ain't done nothing, and I'm already in trouble. You gotta watch that. So those are your personality disorders. I want to run through a couple slides. Too many black children growing up without two parents. Only 45% of black people live with a spouse. Did you know that? Less than half of all black people live with a spouse, compared to 80% for white, 60% for Asian, 70% for Hispanic. 50% of American marriages will end in divorce. We have to recognize something. You cannot separate black relationship failure from American relationship failure. This culture does not respect marriage. The music you listen to, every song is about what? Taking somebody's wife or dropping yours. When the last time you heard a song about staying together? Every song is about moving on. Okay? Every movie, somebody is falling in love with somebody they ain't married to. So the whole culture is about disloyalty. 62% of black homes led by single parents. This is really important. This is the interracial marriage law. In 1967, a white man by the name of Loving sued up to the Supreme Court for the right to marry a black woman. A white man sued for the right to marry a black woman. At the time, Virginia had anti-miscegenation law. In 1967, a year before they killed Dr. King, 2 years after they killed Malcolm, Supreme Court said that you cannot prevent interracial marriage. That was in 67, right? Here we are, what? 44 years later. And in 44 years, black men have managed to marry white women by an increase of 700%. Y'all see that? Let me make it a little bit more clear. Black men marry out of their race more than the men of every other race put together. Did y'all hear me? Black men marry out of their race more than the men of every other race put together. That ain't got nothing to do with love. That's self-hatred. That's self-hatred. Chinese men are not breaking their neck to marry non-Chinese women. Do you see some? Sure. White men are not breaking their neck to marry non-white women. Do you see some? Sure. Arab men are not breaking their neck to marry non-Arab women. Of course you see some, sure. But with educated black men, it is the norm. Why? Because we want to be white ourselves. See, we've got to realize when you have a baby with a white woman, black man, what you're saying is, I don't like the way I look, my mother look, or my daddy look, so I'm going to do what? Exterminate my genotype by mixing it with theirs, so when my son come out, he won't be as ugly as me. And some of us, you know, in the black community, we got a big light-skin supremacy problem. right? White supremacy gave us three evil children: homosexual supremacy, light-skin supremacy, and religious supremacy. Religious supremacy, my religion is better than everybody else's. Why can't they all be equally valuable? Right? Homosexual supremacy. Where did all this homosexuality come from? In 1972, the Rockefeller World Population Council and Planned Parenthood International, that's right, the same Planned Parenthood that was started by eugenicist Margaret Sanger to do what? Reduce all unwanted black life. Most Planned Parenthood centers are put where? Close to the black community. How many of our babies have we lost through abortion? Since 1960, I believe black people have killed 3 million children through abortion. So when you read the newspaper talking about Hispanics are the fastest growing population, that's only because they're not killing your children and you are. Hispanics don't kill their children. Chinese people don't kill their children. We killing ours. Why? Self-hatred. So in 1972, they got together and said, we need to take homosexuality out of this book. By a show of hands, who in here knew that homosexuality was a mental disorder in this book up until April of 1974? Did you know that? It was in here. Homosexuality, sex with somebody of the same gender, was an illness. In April of 74, the sixth printing of the DSM, they took it out. Why? So they could use it as a population control strategy. Don't let nobody bet you into an argument over whether homosexuals are born that way or nurtured that way. Don't deal with it from that standpoint. I want you to deal with it as population control. The bottom line is, who benefits from black people having sex with people of the same gender? Who benefits from that? If Africans start having sex with people of the same gender, who benefits? If blacks in America start having sex with people of the same gender, who benefits? The population control junkies, i.e. the United States government itself. This is about our survival, y'all. If every black schoolgirl only has sex with black schoolgirls, and if every black schoolboy only has sex with black schoolboys, where do the new life comes? Where is the new African life? There ain't none. It gets exterminated. And that's why homosexuality is a greater threat to black life than violence, mass incarceration, AIDS, police brutality. Why? Because in order for police brutality, mass incarceration, homicide, and AIDS to work, you must have a life that you're trying to kill. It's reactionary. But for homosexuality, you prevent the egg from meeting the sperm. No conception. It's proactive. Do y'all see that? This is about our survival. That's why people always ask, Brother Umar, you're a Pan-African nationalist. Can you be a homosexual and be a Pan-Africanist? It's impossible. How is it impossible? Because the Pan-Africanist is about the what? Progress of the race, procreation of the race, uplift of the race. If I believe in homosexuality, I believe in what? Racial extermination. So how am I going to be a nationalist for life and be gay anti-life? I didn't say beat up our lesbian and gay brothers and sisters though. I want to be clear, because there's some people say exterminate. No. So you say, well, how can you be so hard against it and say that we shouldn't exterminate? I'm going to tell you what. Because most black, gay, and lesbians suffer some sort of a trauma in their childhood. I do counseling with homosexual boys. Every one was molested before the age of 12. And the few who were not molested before the age of 12 were psychologically castrated by their mother or father. What do I mean by psychologically castrated? They were verbally abused to the point of believing that they can never function as a healthy male. Did y'all hear that? It's like a mother who constantly telling her son, you ain't going to be S-H-I-T. You're going to be just like your father. You're going to be a loser. You can't do nothing right. You're psychologically castrating him, eating away at his manhood. If you do it enough, he'll automatically adopt the effeminate posture, live his life as a woman. Homosexuality ain't nature. When you study African civilization, nowhere in Nile Valley civilization do you find homosexuality being practiced. You don't even find reference to it as a crime into the Judaic code, which is Johnny Come Lately. Most African languages didn't even have a word for homosexuality. It was foreign to their conception. It came in when the European came. So we don't have a cultural history. The European has a cultural history. When you study Greece and Rome, what do we find? We find even the gods were gay. Did you know Zeus was gay? Did you know Apollo were gay? Not only were they were gay and pedophile. Did you know that Zeus liked to have sex with the boys when he wasn't being God? If you don't believe me, read the mythology. He liked boys. That's why when you see the paintings of the gods, if you notice, they always got one piece of loincloth stretched out with 10 baby angels, right? When did those baby angels get wings? Because they didn't have them 5,000 years ago. They just recently got wings. Those were the child sex slaves of the gods. And some of y'all got to hang it up in your house, supporting pedophilia. That's right. This is real rap. So let's keep on going. So 1974, the year that I was born, homosexuality comes out of this book. In 1974, Secretary of State Henry Kissinger wrote the what? NSSM 2000. It was a what? National Security Memorandum on Population Control, where he said we should use what? Sex education in public school as a way to cut down on the birth. But when they said sex education, you didn't read between the lines. They were talking about homosexual education. And what did California do last month? Approve America's first what? Mandatory homosexual curriculum. In California, yes, you didn't hear about that? Yes, in California, every child in the state, in public or charter school, must be taught about the history and accomplishments of homosexuals. New York, last month, a good friend of mine called me from the meeting. In New York, they had a meeting with the parents to let them know that the homosexual curriculum is going to be infused in the social studies curriculum. Yes, in New York, and this wasn't even in New York newspapers. They didn't even put this on the news, what they told the parents. This is going to sweep the whole country. So I'm saying, black people, if there was ever a time for us to build schools for our children, it's now. It's now. Look at what they're doing. They're trying to turn the whole population of black children into gays and lesbians. And guess who they're using to do it? Your black president, who has an interest in history, but I ain't going to talk about that until he's out of office. I want to get home alive. Now, President Obama appointed Arnie Duncan to be Secretary of Education. Who's Arnie Duncan? That's the white guy from Chicago who fought for an all-gay homosexual high school, which is in Chicago. They have an all-gay high school. Did y'all know that? Chicago right now has a high school for gays and lesbians. So hold tight. Black boys can have their own school, but the homosexuals can? And this is who Obama put in charge of your children's education. But he wasn't done yet. What else did Obama do? Obama put Kevin Jennings in charge of safe and drug-free schools. Kevin Jennings is what? The homosexual who said he wants a mandatory homo curriculum in every public and charter school. This is who Obama, look at this, the two most powerful people in education. Did you know that President Obama appointed more gays and lesbians to federal office than any president in history, and more than Bush and Clinton put together in all 16 years, and he ain't even done 4 yet? Obama has a homosexual imperative. Every president is given 2 agendas, foreign and domestic. Obama's domestic agenda is to make sure that homosexuality is totally accepted in this country, and particularly in the black community, before he leaves office. So for all my Obama maniacs, I hope you think long and clear about what you support, because you cannot support Obama and not support his politics. You cannot tell me that you don't think homosexuality is in the best interest of black people and say you love that man. He is not no Christ, he is the Antichrist. The problem is we won't see it until he's no longer in office. And when Obama is no longer in office, black people in America will catch a backlash that you've never seen. We're going to catch all kinds of hell. And do you want to know why? Because it's our fault. We chose him without having a conversation about what he would do for us. People say, why did President Obama give the Hispanics their first Supreme Court justice? Because he had to sit down with them and they had to get concessions. Why did he give the homosexuals a Supreme Court justice? Because they sat down with him and he had to get concessions. The only people who was running around championing Obama, not asking him what his agenda would be, was the Negro. And so when Obama is no longer president, whoever the next president is, will you be able to hold him accountable to black people? No! His argument will be what? You had one of your own in there for 4 years or 8 years. He didn't do nothing for none of you. And all y'all did was worship him. Talk about how God sent him. He totally ignored the black community for 4 years. And all y'all do is run right back out there, vote for him again. Don't ask no questions. You deserve to get what you get. So guess what? From this point in American history until the end of this country, whenever it falls, because it will, no other white president will have to answer to the black community because we were so stupid, so politically immature, to run after somebody who we thought was for us and never ever was. I know people in Chicago, I got all types of brothers and sisters, they said he ain't never done nothing for the black community when he was there. Do you know what one of his first acts of office was when he became president of the United States? one of Obama's first acts of office, he reduced a federal ban where you cannot use federal money, send it to Africa, and give it to organizations that advocate for hysterectomy and abortion of black women in Africa. You couldn't do it. One of his first acts of office, he reversed it. So now you can take federal money and send it to groups in Africa who are trying to get black women to clean their insides out. Your president. Study people and stop chasing after people. I'm not going to demonize the man, but he's just another tool in the system. He ain't no worse, but he ain't no better. And every time I see black people run after some leader who you don't know nothing about, it bothers me. The way that we let white people bamboozle us with this Obama thing was ridiculous. I even see nationalists and Pan-Africanists talking about something. I think we got some hope now. I think we got some hope now. So, learn your lessons. White supremacy may change face. It may change color. It may change strategy. It may change tactic. It never changes power. It never changes power. It's not the man you see. It's the man who controls the man you see. Come on, black people. In conclusion, I want to leave you with a quote from my ancestor Frederick Douglass, who was my great-great-great-great-grand uncle and cousin. My family came here in 1701, stolen from West Africa, most likely Nigeria, a black man by the name of Bailey. 1701, in 1720, he had a daughter named Selah. In 1740, she had a daughter named Jenny. In 1774, she had a daughter named Betsy Bailey, who married a free black man named Isaac. They had about 12 children. One was named Harriet, one was named Young Betsy. Harriet was raped by the white man who owned my family, white man by the name of Aaron Anthony. He raped Harriet Bailey. She gave birth to a son named Frederick Bailey in 1818. He also raped Harriet's young sister, Young Betsy, giving birth to Stephen Bailey, Frederick's younger brother and cousin, in 1819. Stephen is my great-great-great-great-grandfather. Frederick escapes to freedom at the age of 20. Stephen ultimately escapes as well to participate in the Civil War. He marries a black woman named Caroline Bailey. They have their firstborn son, George Washington Bailey, my great-great-great-grandfather, Frederick Douglass' first nephew, who was also the first black public school teacher in Talbot County, Maryland. He married Annie Wayman. They had a daughter named Caroline, named after his mother. Caroline had a daughter named Vivian. Vivian had a daughter named Ida, my grandmother. Ida had Jamal. And on August 21st, 1974, that I was born, 11 generations of the Bailey cake. We got to study our history. Our children need to know who they are. Religion is okay, but it's not sufficient. Okay? You stand a black kid up, you stand a white kid up, you stand an Asian kid up, and you say, who are you? The Asian kid might be Muslim, but he's going to say, I'm Chinese. The white kid might be Christian, but he's going to say, I'm Italian. And when you get to the black kid, what are you? I'm a Muslim or a Christian. That's wrong, y'all. That's wrong. Stop teaching your children to identify with religion exclusively. Marcus Garvey said that in a world of wolves, we must go armed, and the most powerful defensive weapon within the reach of Negroes is the practice of race first in all parts of the world. Harriet Tubman said, I freed hundreds of slaves, but I couldn't free thousands if they only knew that they were slaves. Frederick Douglass said, men who profess to favor freedom and yet deprecate agitation are like men who want crops without plowing up the ground. They want the rain, but they don't want to deal with the thunder or the lightning. They want the ocean, but they don't want to deal with the awful roar of its waters. He said this war might be moral, or it might be physical, or it might be both moral and physical, but it must be a struggle. Find out what any people will quietly submit to, and you have found the exact measure of injustice that will be used upon men. Power concedes nothing without a demand. It never did, it never will. No struggle, no progress. Thank you for your time, black folks. Any questions?